Hi again. Here we are to continue our discussion of making UI elements with Swift and Xcode. In the last video, we set up our widget, our UI widget here, and it's working pretty good, but the value kind of goes off the end of the range, right? So it goes like less than 0, and then it'll go greater than 1, right? This is 100, but really the range is 0 to 1. And so how do we do that? We need to clamp it, right? How do we fix that, right? So what we're going to do is, and you might have done it this way. You might have said like, hey, if a new value is less than, 0, then set new value equal to 0. So it can't be less than 0. Else, if new value is greater than 1, then set new value equal to 1, right? And that's perfectly okay, right? That works fine. Let's give it a test, right? Oh yeah, I made it a let. We got to actually change that to a var. There we go. Let's give it another test there, right? So that works okay. What do we got? So we go 1, maximum value, 0, minimum value, right? So that seems to work pretty good. And, just as a note, we can also do this another way too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this a little bit, and I'm going to say, how about new value equals max, and this is a function that returns the maximum between two values, right? So what I'll do is I'll say max new value. Actually, I'm going to say maximum either this value or 0, and then I'm going to say min, right, which returns the minimum value between two values. So I'm going to put a 1 here, and then this will be new value, right? So here, let's see if I get that right. We'll give it a quick test there. Oh, there we go, right? We get the same effect, right? So here, we use minimum. We'll start on the inside, right? We got new value here, and we're going to get the minimum of these values. So if new value is lower than 1, we get that one, right? So if this is less than 1, then, we get new value. Otherwise, we get 1, okay? Here, once we get into max, if this value is less than 1, we're here, and now we're going to get the maximum value. So if it's less than 0, we're going to get a 0. So if it was, greater than 1 here, we're going to get the 1. And if this is less than 1, we're going to be in the max. And imagine that the less than 1 value is here. And if that value is less than 0, then we'll get the 0 because this is higher, or, we're going to get the maximum value, right? So anyway, that's another way to clamp a value. Some frameworks will give you a method called clamp that does the same thing. So you put in a value range and it clamps it, but I guess Swift doesn't have that, or maybe it does. I didn't see it, but so I just use min and max here. But you could use the if statement also, and it's all kind of really just the same thing. So anyway, so there we've clamped the value, right? So that works pretty good. Now, what you should really do is consider this value here. Right? Think about this. Think about this, and use your testing skills, and like actually test it on your phone and see hey, does this thing work well? As I swipe my finger, is it too sensitive? Is it not sensitive enough? Because this is the value that's going to control like how far you move and how much change happens in the distance that you drag your finger, right? So anyway, you try that on your own, and you can try changing this instead of using the X value, right? Like where I put X here, you could change that to a Y value, and then as you swipe up and down the the value would change, right? And maybe that has a better feel for users, right? So you give that a try and see how that works. And then the other thing that you can do is you can try using, look at my videos on circle math, and you could map the location of your finger around the center point of the view to find the angle, right? And then that'll tell us like where to draw the line to, okay? I'll leave that as a challenge for you to do that. So that's the tough challenge, okay? Not that hard, but much harder than just switching this from X to Y and changing the value here. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that that is helpful and interesting.